ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's Canada Live tonight. And we're going live 9 p.m. normal start, I guess. But tonight we're starting a little bit late in order to do the Four Nations post-game. Got the regular crew tonight. We've got Mr. Ryan Lotsberg, senior writer for Heavy Hockey. Patrick, the Oilers Fanatic on YouTube, and also great guy is joining us. And from his mansion in the middle of Riverbend in Edmonton, I don't know, where's the rich part? I haven't lived in Edmonton long enough anymore. Royal Glenora, I guess, has always been the wealthy area. In Glenora is Dash in the park, co-host. I'm going to let him take the reins tonight. It's been a long day, so he's got it. I'm going to sit back, watch, enjoy, maybe say a few words. But let's have a fun chat. Little Four Nations post game. Take it away.
Well, I think we all watched the same game tonight. I know when to admit when I'm wrong. I didn't think there'd be a lot of effort, and I thought it would be a bit of a glorified all-star game. That was really fun to watch. I think Nathan McKinnon set the tone right in the first shift when he started laying the body, and ultimately, like, what a way for Team Canada to start this one off when you got a goal like that on the power play and Crosby doing Crosby things to McKinnon doing McKinnon things. If we're all a bunch of fish in the hockey ocean, they sure know how to throw a hook into our cheek there. I thought it was great, honestly. I think Canada came out hot, ultimately punched themselves out a little bit, where Sweden kind of sat back and waited for their time and capitalized when they could. Really impressed with a lot of different players out there that, kind of exceeded expectations, but I think we'll dive into that as we get through. So right back to you, Michael. What'd you think of the game tonight?
Oh, wow. So much for the break. right back to me. Yeah, good game. I don't know. McDavid sure came out flying in the first as well. Like he looked like he was on a mission. What do you say? It was good. I think, we kind of suspected that goaltending might be a bit of a problem for Canada, and it wasn't, maybe it wasn't great. Although I say that, and Binnington made some unreal saves tonight to keep keep Canada in it. Just, it saves at the right time would have maybe kept Sweden out of the game. And then the Canada sort of fell asleep there. Start of the second, I thought a little bit, maybe sat back a little bit, but man, I don't know. I wasn't very excited about this tournament either until I saw the practice with like Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, and Makar all huddled up together. And what a great way to start the tournament with three of them connecting on a goal. Perfect.
Yeah, and it's not, just so much to unpack there, honestly. A great part of that first goal, I thought, honestly, was Colton Parayko's outlet pass where he banked it off the boards to get it out of the zone. And that's one of my highlights for the game is, I always kind of pictured Colton Parayko as this defensive defenseman and towering guy back there. But, man, like he really showed me a lot with what he can do with the puck and shoot the biscuit too. What were your overall thoughts on the game, Patrick?
I just wish Sweden would have taken some more penalties. That power play was just incredible. Like, it reminded me, of course, like how the Oilers used to be that dominant. I mean, they've gotten better on the power play this year, but that was just incredible seeing those guys move that puck around. I just wish there was more power plays, and it just shows too, you like this looked like it was going to be Canada's game easily, but they went to sleep, and Sweden showed they're not going to be a pushover. I mean, this game went to overtime, could have easily gone to Sweden. I mean, thankfully Canada gets the win tonight, but it definitely got me into it. I wasn't too overly excited for this tournament, but this was an exciting first game, so I think I'm going to enjoy this. But that power play. Well, I want to see some more penalties.
Yeah, it was just such a tease, right? What was it, like 15 seconds into that thing, and that's
Yeah.
all we got. I really liked how they penalty killed too. I thought it was really aggressive and didn't
Yeah.
really allow Sweden to set up. Lotsie, what'd you think of the game?
Oh, that was a lot of fun to watch. It was great. Was into it from the moment the broadcast started. They had the nice intro there with the Tragically Hip song overlaying all the highlights, and the crowd is everything for a sporting event. Like it really is. Like watching the World Juniors here in Edmonton in the summer with the empty Rogers Place. Even for the gold medal game, half the upper deck was blocked off. So, like it was full, it was loud, but it wasn't what it could have been. But that crowd in Montreal, that was fantastic. And bringing out Mario Lemieux at the start of the game and
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby right beside him, and taking the picture and being involved in the ceremony there. Like, what a way to start that. That was fantastic. And then less than a minute in, you get the big three: McDavid, Crosby, McKinnon, bing, bang, boom, power play goal, 1-0 Canada. Like, if you're not excited after that, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I loved just all the combinations of hockey IQ out there, period, right? You could see the way Stone was filling lanes and just kind of doing that third or tertiary role on that line, which I'm sure he's not used to, but did it really well. Really like to see uh, what Makar and Taves do. It honestly gave me PTSD a little bit, thinking back to how well they defended with their feet versus the Oilers in that cup run where Colorado cut us off. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if we'll have an official segment tonight or maybe just slip a few in, but call me crazy. I think Devin Taves was our best player tonight. What do you think, Patrick?
He was fantastic. I mean, no two ways about it. I mean, Colorado was so lucky picking up that guy. What was it, for like 2 second-round picks or something? It was just, yeah, no, he's been amazing for Colorado. And yeah, I'd agree. He was, if not the best, one of the top players for Team Canada tonight. I think he's right up there with Sidney Crosby. Crosby put on a hell of a performance tonight. Just that pass was just unreal on the power play. Yeah, I think those two guys stood out for me. Connor was really flying in the first. Would have been nice to see him get one there. And I think him and McKinnon had that chance in overtime, but McKinnon didn't feel like feeding it over to him. But yeah, what it is. But yeah, Devontae's was definitely excellent tonight.
Yeah, and that takes nothing away from Sidney Crosby, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all know where the game, whose stick the game flowed through tonight, if you will.
Yeah.
I opened up Natural Stat Trick a couple of times during the game and had a look, and honestly, everybody's high danger chances for and against were pretty even. Everybody's shots for and against were pretty even. Devin Taves had probably a really good game from that. His was really the only one that was dominantly offensive when he was on the ice or the puck was on his stick, and he stuck out a lot more than I thought, and just not offensively and with puck possession, but man, he can close gaps. I don't know. I thought it was really eye-opening play for me to watch him go. You're nodding your head a lot, Michael. Call me crazy, but Taves might have been our best player tonight.
Yeah. I mean, he was good. I just can't get past Sidney Crosby. Like, he wears the C for a reason and will always be one of my favorite players. The way, just watching him, they called it out in the broadcast, but watching the way he protects the puck, and then, that pass to Stone for that goal, the pass to McKinnon for the power play goal. I mean, I love the breakdown the analyst did, like watching his eyes, like he knew where McKinnon was the whole time. Like, this was not, some guys will make that pass blind and get lucky, but I don't think Crosby does anything out of luck. He knows 100% what he's going to do before he does it. And man, I just love watching him play and watching him be a leader out there. And he didn't, it's not like he played a lot of minutes, comparatively to Crosby type of minutes. I think,
17.
17 minutes. There you go. So, that puts him middle of the pack for Team Canada, right? Both McDavid and McKinnon played more. So, yeah, I can't take anything from Crosby. That's his game.
Does he ask for a trade after this tournament?
Yeah. I hope Marner does.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Where do you want Marner to go, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know. When in Sweden, we could send him to Sweden. I don't know.
All right, maybe you're onto
Yeah.
something there. Picking up on a couple of things you said there, man, again, just not taking anything away from Sidney Crosby in any sense here. He earned it tonight, and he showed us why. He is this version of Captain Canada. Michael brought it up, the way he protects the puck, and what really stood out to me there is 2009 Sidney Crosby would have skated right through that, and he wouldn't have to, I hate to say it, but he's, potentially lost a step, or maybe he's just injured right now. We don't know, right? But it doesn't matter. Sidney Crosby just protects the puck because he's got that wide stance. He's got that rock bottom, core strength that seemingly nobody can ever beat or get around. And he showed it again tonight. And, even if he can't get a step on somebody, he's still smarter than them. He still has a higher hockey IQ than them. That said, everything came from the back end tonight, and Taves is one of the best at getting it out there. So I'll ask you one more guy here, Lotsy. Call me crazy, but Taves might have been our best player tonight.
This isn't anything against Taves, but I'm calling you crazy here. Like, Taves played well. Didn't really notice him on the defensive end, which is a good thing. Had a couple of great scoring chances in the third period, but I'm with Michael here. Sidney Crosby put on a show. He had a great night, 3 assists. Like, let's not forget the play in overtime he made. Instead of trying to dump it deep or get it over the blue line, he forced it back to Marner with speed, and Marner buried it all in the rush. So another smart play from Crosby there. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Crosby for MVP of the game tonight. But Taves also played well.
Yeah, I think a lot of highlights there. And here we are 5-10 minutes into the show and barely brought McDavid up, which is crazy. But let's give him his due. I think maybe the rest of the world got to see what we are very privileged to get to see on a regular basis. When Connor McDavid wants to do things with the puck, he just does it. Pretty cool to see him get a little hitch in his giddy up in the first period there. You could tell he was feeling that first power play goal, because there was the next 2 or 3 shifts where he was on his absolute horse, just trying to push and push and push. All due respect to the Oilers here, I thought Matthias Ekholm did a really good job being matched up against him line wise. McDavid on a night like this, with that kind of force that he was putting towards the net and passion that he was showing out there, that's usually a 4-point night. What were your thoughts on Connor tonight, Ryan?
I thought he himself was unbelievable, but I don't think he's on the correct line at all. Like, I don't think he and Marner had a lot of chemistry. You could see that with the little exchange they're having on the bench. Marner with a frustrated, exasperated look on his face. They had one nice little passing play where Marner basically he was standing there and gave it to McDavid, a 3-foot pass or something at the face-off dot, and McDavid had a chance. But really, like, that line was good because McDavid was being dominant. Right? He was just trying to make things happen on his own, and he was doing it, just wasn't going in for him. So, and I was thinking to myself, I really think Mark Stone would be a fantastic fit with McDavid, but I think Stone is just smart enough to be a good fit with any of these guys. But he's a good fit on that line with McKinnon and Crosby too, because he'll trail the play late, and he'll make the play in the defensive zone, get it up the wall to the guys with speed, and then he'll trail the play and he'll finish, right? I think that'd be perfect for McDavid, but he's also a good fit with McKinnon and Crosby.
Yeah. Patrick, maybe you want to check my math or fact check me here. I didn't know Ryan was from Ontario, because I asked him about McDavid and all he did is talk about Marner. What were your thoughts on McDavid tonight?
Mine? Or
Yeah.
I'll go back to his. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You didn't really talk about McDavid, so I wasn't sure if we're still on Ryan. Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought he looked great in the first because he was really flying. Yeah, but I think that's a combination of, like we talked about, that not being a great line that he's on. I don't know what they have to rejig there. I'm sure it's game 1, right? So we're going to see some different lines, and if we get one of the Oilers coaches on here, we'll have some brand new lines every second shift. So well, I'm sure we'll see lots of different combinations, but yeah, I think to Ryan's point, he can play with Mark Stone. McDavid can play with most anybody he's turned guys like Pat Maroon into 20 goal scorers. So you can find different guys to put on with Connor McDavid, but I don't think it's a good fit right now with Mitch Marner. But I liked the energy from Connor. He looked like he was flying. He looked like you could tell this was something he'd been looking forward to for a long time, and he was having a lot of fun out there. But yeah, it would have been nice to see a bit more. I would have liked to see him get that opportunity in overtime from McKinnon, because I don't think McKinnon got off that great of a shot there in overtime. I think it would have been a better play to feed it over to Connor. But yeah, I thought it was a good first game. But yeah, Crosby definitely stole the show tonight.
Yeah, tough to argue with anything there. And hey, you both brought it up, so it's valid. Ryan, I'm picking on you a little bit here, but Marner did stand out. There was times where that chemistry was pretty apparent. I did like how Reinhardt fit in, on the other hand, just kind of floating in and out and trying to find space and going and getting pucks like Hyman does. I heard many people say it, Craig Button being one that was very adamant about it. Marner and McDavid are the same type of player. They need to have the puck on their stick in order to, create space for their teammates. They're not exactly, McDavid more than Marner, because McDavid can do anything. But Marner isn't the type of player that, is just there to bang home rebounds, really, and Dino Ciccarelli pucks. He needs that flow. He needs to be able to feel it. What did you think of McDavid tonight, Michael? And then if you want to segue into the line chemistry or whatever, we can get down that road too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to talk about McDavid without talking about the line chemistry. And the way McDavid came out, that's not sustainable for a whole game, right? Like he clearly had the energy and had been waiting for this for a long time. It looked like he was ready to score 10 in that first period. But it just was readily apparent that, the Marner situation isn't perfect for him. That's not to take it. I think Marner's a perfectly fine player. I just don't think there was a ton of chemistry there.
Yeah, he did score the OT winner. So.
Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time calling Marner a bad player. Right?
No, it's not. He's not a bad player.
Yeah, he's not a bad player. He's just not. I make fun of it because he just looked like the two of them weren't clicking, and sometimes that's going to happen. And yeah, there was one play where McDavid threw the puck in at the blue line, and which he normally does, but he's used to having somebody that can go and retrieve the puck, right? And he'll go, he puts it into the corner, and he went off towards the back of the net and waiting for the puck retrieval, but it wasn't there because it was Marner, right? And that's not his deal, right? Like that's not how he plays. Marner plays the game. He's not a puck retrieval specialist. Like you could send Draisaitl in and he'll retrieve the puck, right? You can send even Arvidsson for that matter, or Podkolzin, or any of these players go and retrieve the puck, and those guys know McDavid's going to be where he is, and that play just made me sad.
Arvidsson's going to fall down when he does it.
Yeah.
But
and I gotta say it, but like you brought it up, Patrick, that McKinnon, like not even so much as a look over at McDavid. I thought McKinnon was hot for the overtime goal and planned on doing it himself the whole time. Yeah, I wouldn't put the two of them back together either. Nobody can play with McDavid. That's
yeah, unless your name's Hyman.
That's right,
Hyman.
Right.
Which maybe leads to a quick question. After seeing what Canada produced in the first game, anybody you feel didn't belong in that lineup? Anybody feel maybe did a Brandon Hagel or did a Konechny or did anybody like that look out of place where perhaps we could have had a guy like Zach Hyman playing beside Connor instead? Anything like that cross your mind tonight, Patrick?
Oh, for sure. Well, I think since the start of the year when he wasn't picked for the team, like I knew that was a giant mistake. Zach Hyman is a great fit with Connor McDavid, but he played great in Toronto with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Like you can put him with any star player, and I think he's one of those interchangeable guys, and he was definitely a huge oversight. I mean, I know he struggled to start the year, but come on, he should have had it based off of since he's been an Oiler, basically. I mean, there was no excuse not to have that guy on this team. And yeah, they definitely could have used someone like him tonight, someone that you could put on different lines too. He doesn't have to stay with Connor either.
Yeah, I wonder how much that injury ended up affecting the decision. You know, I wouldn't say a lot of the Oilers had a horrible night. There was a few plays where I think players stood out, and that's any hockey game. We're not going to play a perfect game coming out first, and I think Sweden did a really good job of capitalizing on the mistakes that we did make. You know, Connor's line I thought actually played pretty well overall, but they still come out -1. You know, and that's saying something when I think all three of them were, you know, out 10-5 on scoring chances and 5-2 on high danger scoring chances. So, you know, they were dominating that play. Their Corsi, either Fenwick, both relative or in the 50s and close to 60. So they controlled the pace. They controlled the possession. They got burnt on a mistake. You know, Marner looks good in overtime. I think everybody looked good in overtime. I think the most excited I maybe was in the game is when they finally brought out McKinnon, McDavid, and McCarr for that overtime 3-on-3. What was that? The second shift out. You know, and I'm sure we're going to circle back into it, a lot of the gameplay and things that happened. And let's be organic here tonight. But I can't keep this going without bringing up something that I was really scared was going to happen. And now I'm glad it's not to an Edmonton Oiler. Not that you want to see anybody hurt. But Shea Theodore played one shift in the second period, hinting at perhaps he went for x-rays. Call me crazy, but I bet you Alex Pietrangelo isn't regretting his decision right now to not come and play for Team Canada when he sees his buddy Shea Theodore, you know, going for x-rays and having to leave the game in the first game of the second period. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, it happens in every tournament like this. Somebody's going to get injured. You just hope that it's not a player that, you know, is on your team. I mean, you hope it's nobody, but somebody will get injured. It's hockey. It's a tough game. I saw, I can't remember who it was, went shin first into the net tonight.
Oof.
That kind of scared me.
Yeah, Sorelli, yeah, I think
Sorelli.
Memories of McDavid there. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? It's hockey, right? Some people are going to get injured. If they're, you know, if nobody's getting injured, that means it's an all-star game. And we're not playing all-star game.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, like Michael said. I mean, I don't know if Alex regrets or doesn't feel bad about not going, but I mean, he's putting his team first and his health for the playoffs first. But I mean, everyone's that's there wants to be there. They could have bowed out if they wanted to. I mean, it's a risk you take, and you don't want to see it, especially in a tournament like this. You want everyone to be able to go back and be on the stress drives for their individual teams. And obviously, we definitely don't want any Oilers doing this. But yeah, you hate to see it. And yeah, when I was watching it, it's like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's a hard play to watch, and you hate seeing someone get hurt, but it is part of hockey. And I don't know, what was your line, Ryan? You could fall going outside your front door or something. From a few episodes back.
You could get hit by a bus. You
Yeah.
get like in the comments.
Yeah.
If you got rediscovery records here, you can get hurt in practice. You can get hurt walking the dog. You can get hurt in McDavid sauna.
Yeah,
Things happen,
so,
right? That's my mindset too. Like he could have got hurt in the game before the tournament. He can get hurt in the game after they return from the tournament. He could get hurt next game. He could get hurt in practice tomorrow. Like it's hockey. Things happen. That's exactly it. So watching that pregame ceremony and hearing the crowd tonight, I bet you Pietrangelo was thinking, oh boy, maybe I should have gone. But in the end, he made the mature decision, I guess, the professional decision. But I didn't necessarily agree with it, but he's entitled to do what he wants to do.
Well, I'm going to pick on you again, Lotsy, but I don't think I would enter any type of careers in risk management if I were you. Because if you think that stepping out and going for a stroll on the beach or a romantic walk in the park or any of those other fantastic things that you mentioned there are as dangerous as going out against the best players from Sweden that are all a bunch of 6'5", 240-pound Vikings swinging sticks at you and skating 25 miles per hour at you. Yeah, there's a much higher chance of getting injured at a tournament like this than there is waiting at the bus stop, unless you're at an Edmonton LRT stop. Then it's a toss up. I don't know.
I've heard stories, my friend.
Some stranger says you can get paralyzed sitting on the toilet. So.
I've talked to some people who have had some pretty innocuous situations turn into very serious injuries just out in daily life. So it sucks, but there's always odds that things are going to happen.
Would you have the same opinion if it was Arvidsson that accidentally ran into McDavid and two of the Oilers forwards were out for the rest of the tournament?
Yes, because it's hockey. Things happen, right? Like,
yeah. Yep, I would hate that. And boy, can you imagine? Arvidsson's already enemy number, well, maybe not enemy number 1, but enemy number 2 or 3. Well, anyways, let's not go there. Let's not make any type of fantasy reality at this point. Yeah, I guess, injuries are going to happen. It all goes back to the point that I've been making for weeks before this tournament. And while it was playing, it's fun to watch. I could care less whether we win a Four Nations Cup. I really could. It's entertaining hockey. I think it's bomb ass hockey to sit and watch like Makar, McKinnon, and McDavid on a 3-on-3 that they actually care about. That's super cool. I could care about as much whether the Team Canada wins the Four Nations Cup as they do the Fishing Lake Hockey League Saskatchewan Senior, Championship. That trophy means about as much to me as the other one. So I just want them to get through healthy, and just seeing something like that really does give me a scare, because any Oilers coming out of this anything but more confident is just a shot at our Stanley Cup. I don't know, my 2 cents. Michael, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about who didn't deserve to be there earlier. I didn't get to touch on that, and I'm just looking at these numbers, and I'm looking at, like, this is such a John Cooper thing to do, like Cirelli and Hagel are out there in some important minutes at the end of the game, and Marchand was like sniffing around the net a good part of the night, right? And I didn't realize it till they said it on the air, but like that line has the most goals in the NHL right now, combined. And we didn't really see them like near the end of the game.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying anybody doesn't deserve to be there, but man, like, if this team goes down, like, it's going to be some jackass coaching decision like that, where in the final 3 minutes, it's, Cirelli and Hagel out there, because Cooper trusts them enough to, right, like, get them through. Point and Marchand almost scored on the same goal twice.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they scored the first time, and then it, was like a hair away from a second one. They clearly had a little bit of chemistry. As I said, I don't want to say those guys don't deserve to be there, but they certainly didn't deserve the extra minutes that like, those guys are good. That's a hell of a third line. Like, they can play like a third line, but they can also play like a scoring line. Like, that's unbelievable.
I think just because you have the most goals out of any, of your other lines and combined, doesn't mean that you have a player on your line that can push the river. And to me, that's what they were lacking, Michael, don't you think?
No, I didn't. I just didn't feel that way. Like, I thought they had good chemistry. I mean, obviously Cooper didn't seem the same, but he's got comfort with Cirelli and Hagel, and right, like, that's where it ended up.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately Konechny and who's the other forward that had the least ice time? Jarvis. Thanks. So
I thought,
and that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They both looked really good, I thought, on their shifts and their opportunities. But maybe that is just the coach Cooper going back to who he's comfortable with in those situations. And when I said that guys, playing together that don't push the river, I meant Hagel and Cirelli. I think there's nobody.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, nobody on that line that can really push the river or make things happen or carry a line on their own. just because they have a bunch of goals or whatever, right? So I don't know. Thoughts on that, maybe, Patrick?
I don't know. I think that's where like a Zach Hyman would really fit in, more one of those guys. I mean, not to be a homer, but I think Zach Hyman, even without Connor McDavid, can be effective with a lot of different guys on that team. He's one of those guys that fits in well with elite players, and this is a team of elite players. And I don't know. I think that's just a guy that you could have got in there, like, yeah, when you have a guy like Connor shooting the puck in, like Hyman's one of those guys that can go get the puck, and he can be at the post looking for the opportunities there. So, and he's a guy that has the speed. He can drive the play too. So would have been really nice to have him on this team.
Yeah, I think, we'll see if that continues to be a pattern that Cooper has, where he falls back to that, trio or whatever it is or that group of players when it comes to point. And, maybe Braden Point was supposed to be the guy that carries that line, but I wouldn't hate seeing a switch of those two players. Like maybe bring Braden Point up on Connor's line and then let Marner go and push the river with the other two and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any thoughts from you, Lotsy, on line combinations or chemistry, or too much Tampa or not enough somebody else?
I mean, like that was kind of my initial thought on the roster construction when it first happened. It's like, oh yeah, John Cooper's coaching, and he had some input on the roster because we get Hagel and Cirelli here. Like, looking at the scoring, like you look at the NHL scoring leaderboard, Hagel's a lot higher than I would have thought, and he's one of the few natural left wingers that was available to Canada. So like, I don't have a problem with him being there. But we're talking about giving a guy like that important minutes in the late stages of a tie hockey game. Like it's the old Hockey Canada mentality that you got to bring in defensive specialists and guys that can play certain situations, right? And I think Hagel and Cirelli are those guys for this team. So I get it, but it's like, do you want the McKinnon line out there? Do you want the McDavid line out there instead? Like, are you counting on them to win that big draw and make the big defensive play? That's not really how we think of them. They can do it. Like, they play the big minutes for their club teams. But I think that's kind of a big reason why the Hagel and Cirelli are here. As far as potential line combos, like I don't mind the idea. I was actually thinking earlier as we were talking about it, put Marchand up with McDavid and Reinhardt, and then put Marner down with Point and Jarvis or Hagel or whoever else you want to put on that line, right? Because then you've got Marner, McKinnon, and McDavid. You got three guys who all need the puck on their stick to transport it up the ice. You got one of them on each of the top three lines instead of having two of them play together.
Yeah, I like that idea of putting Marchand and McDavid together. That could be really something because they were both flying tonight.
Yeah, Marchand's got a nose for the net, and he's a smart player. He knows where to go. He knows how to score. He knows how to retrieve pucks. And Reinhardt on that line too. Again, smart hockey player, knows where to go, can finish. I think that could be a good line.
The Oilers are trading for Marchand too, so this would be a good audition to get those two guys together. Yeah, right.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, I missed that complete answer as my computer crashed, so I'm sure it was brilliant.
I'll give you my my lineup change: Marchand, McDavid, Reinhardt, Marner, Point, Hagel, or Jarvis, or whoever else you want to put on that line.
Yeah, I don't hate that either.
The sad part is, and we're not going to see a lot of it, I would love to see McDavid and Crosby. I mean, we're just not, except when there's penalties, when on a power play. But man, I'd love to watch that. Even like put McDavid instead of McKinnon. Again, we're not going to see it. You'd be waiting up a long time before you get to see that one.
McDavid, Crosby, Stone. That'd be a great line.
Yeah. Like that would be unreal. I think. Yeah.
Remind me who our seventh defenseman is that we brought along?
Travis Sanheim.
Sanheim, right. Thoughts on where he'll slot in?
Sixth defenseman.
Well, okay. What were the pairings? We obviously know Makar, Taves. Second pair was it Theodore and Parayko? Or no, it was Morrissey, Parayko. So he was on that bot. It was Theodore Doughty. So Sanheim Doughty is probably exactly what it'll be.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons they brought him is because he can play both sides. You see it the same way,
That's
Patrick?
exactly it.
I was impressed with Doughty, like a guy that hasn't played much this year, to come in and play at the level he's played at. I mean, he's obviously like he's top-notch player, but I didn't know what to expect from him. He didn't look terrible.
Can they bring somebody else in if Theodore's out for the whole tournament? No. Okay.
Were you not watching, Patrick? They
Did
a
they?
whole
Okay,
segment
I guess
on
I
that.
missed that part.
Come on, man. Wow.
Yeah, not like the World Championships when somebody else loses out of the playoffs, so you can bring somebody else in or whatever. And I think that's where that thought process comes from. But yeah, the same question was asked there. I don't know. Sanheim, I'm sure, is a plug and play kind of defenseman. Doesn't have us decimated as much as that Finland blue line is. That all said, what do you guys think about the upcoming game for tomorrow? Patrick?
It's USA Finland tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think USA is going to win it. I don't know if it'll be as close as this one. It might be. I could see something like a 5-2 win for USA or something to open it up. I think Canada should have been more dominant in this one if they didn't fall asleep in the second, because they were all over. So because Sweden didn't have a shot to like 6 minutes left in the first period or something like that.
4 minutes and 40 seconds. I think.
4 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, I imagine USA is going to come out like a cannon, and I think they're going to beat them like 5-2 or something like that tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody, the US is going to play like they got something to prove.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking too. Finland, I think, is the weakest team in the tournament. I thought they were competing for that before their blue line got decimated. But now they're really up against it. I don't know if their forward group has the firepower to compete with the depth of the States. I've said it for a few times now. The Americans are the team to beat in this tournament, in my opinion. I think their roster is fantastic, top to bottom. They got the best goaltending by a mile. So I think the States will prove themselves as the top team coming out of the round robin, and it starts tomorrow with Finland.
I think,
and that has been that's been the general consensus, right? That Team USA is the team to beat. Okay, because I got ripped apart in my comment section for that. Apparently, I like, what are you talking about? Canada's not going to win it all. I'm like, I didn't say Canada wasn't going to win it all.
Okay.
I said Team USA was the favorite.
People hear what they want to hear, right?
I think when you match up Team USA's third and fourth line, as well as their goaltending, they should have the depth. Now, whether they have the experience, whether they have the leadership, there's only a couple of guys, I think, that have won a Stanley Cup on that team. Kachuk and who was the other one? Eichel. Maybe another one I heard of too. But ultimately, there's not a lot of guys that have really been through it as far as a war goes, or not like a Sidney Crosby. I think that maybe my mind has changed a little bit on who the favorite might be after watching tonight's game. Now, that can easily be based on recency bias, but Canada looked really good. Even with a little bit of line, juggling that still might come, they looked really good. And what I really noticed was how well the team was built around speed, and the team was built around hockey IQ. Do you think the Americans can match the puck possession and the transition game and just the sheer speed of McKinnon and Makar and McDavid, even though they might have more depth? You still feel that way, Patrick?
I think they match up well. I mean, the biggest advantage they have is the goaltending, right? So it's if they can shut down the attack and keep the games closer, and they've got enough firepower on their end too with all the guys they've got as well. I think it's easily going to be for whatever they call it, the Four Nations Cup game or whatever is going to be between Canada and the USA. I think that's a foregone conclusion at this point. Sweden will put in definitely an effort, and they'll probably be the third team at this point, I'd say, based off this game as well. Like you were saying, Dash, like this game really impressed me for Team Canada. They came out even better than I thought they were going to be. So as long as they don't go into a little spurts like they did in the second period where they allowed Sweden to get back into it. But yeah, I think they're pretty evenly matched, and USA can match their speed too. But I think it's going to come down to goaltending ultimately.
Which is interesting. I thought both goaltenders tonight made opportune saves at opportune times. That save, man, like if Taves was right-handed, that thing would have been in. Or if even maybe he could have let it go between his legs, a la Ginla, and to the guy in the back door. But what a save there. And then, Binnington made a few when it was 2-1. He made a few when it was 3-3 that he needed to make.
I got breaking news here. Shea Theodore's out for the tournament.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, when you don't come back in a tournament like that and you're going for x-rays, there it is, right? And I mean, why would he want to risk anything at this point? I wouldn't doubt if that wrist is broken.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that wrist is broken.
Yeah. So knock on wood that, nobody else leaves this thing injured ultimately. Well, yeah, tough news. I mean, the only good part about that is it's against the Vegas Knights. And maybe we see them down the road, or maybe that, is just the Vegas was already struggling going into this tournament, and now they're out their number one defenseman. Peter Angelo was already banged up going into this tournament. So there's potentially, two of their best players, certainly their two best players on the back end. This is pretty much exactly what I was scared of would happen to a certain team, or any team really, Michael.
Well, one thing we know for sure is Vegas Knights doctors are really good at getting people ready for the playoffs. So expect Theodore to be ready come playoff time. Game one, miraculously.
Yeah, no. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the initial question I think was about Team USA. I just say this: when I think we talked about Cirelli, Hagel, those guys. Like I always say, I hate to take anything away from these guys. They play at a top level. They deserve to be there. But when I look at the U.S. team, that's how when people say in the first round, draft the best player available. That's how the U.S. constructed their roster, was take the best U.S. player available. And they went down there and they got a ton of good players, you just look at that. It's a pretty formidable team. And from an offensive standpoint, and some of these guys are hard to play against, when they're even on top lines, right? As we know, Kachuk's no pushover, right? Both of them, they're no pushover. Trocheck, Kreider, good guys and really good, nose to the grindstone kind of players, right?
Kreider will be scratched in the first game.
Is he scratched in the first game? Yeah. And then I think about on D, Werenski and Fox, they're pretty damn good on D. And then of course you can't take away from Hellebuck. They're a favorite. But as we saw tonight, these are all NHL players. So Sweden might not have been the better team even on paper against Canada, but they tied it up and took Canada to overtime. Finland could do the same. I mean, if Rantanen gets anywhere near where he was in Colorado, and Aho's on this team, and you just need one line that can score a few goals, and a goaltender like Luukkonen can get hot, or Saros could get hot. Those are goalies that get hot sometimes and seemingly save just about everything. So we saw that, I think, a bit tonight with that Taves save, right? Is all of a sudden, as a team, you start clutching the stick a little bit because it feels like the goalie's stopping everything, and the goalie just starts to seem bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's how this tournament's going to go. It's, what is it? 7 games tops, right? Yeah. So could be anybody's game. Laine's had spurts of goal scoring this year. If you get Finland on the power play, he could be potting some. He's still got a hell of a shot. Love him or hate him, right? Still a hell of a shot. He'll get some. Where do they play tomorrow?
I think they're all in Montreal right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Line A being sort of the
So
home
I mean,
team.
Line A is going to get some love, right? Line A will get some love in Montreal. So those types of things could be good. It's anybody's game. But if I had to pick, if I'm putting it on the sports line, I'm taking US, and you're probably right. It'll probably be a 5-2 game, maybe even 5-1. Hellebuck's pretty damn good.
Now with Hellebuck, though, are we going to get regular season Hellebuck or playoff Hellebuck?
Good point. Yeah, well, we're not in the playoffs yet, right? So, yeah, good point. Wow, look at that's why you're the man.
As long as it's not bubble playoff Hellebuck, because he was really damn good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we talked about goaltending. I don't know who it was. Maybe I'm going to take a stab at it. I think Pat Burns famously called hockey, like, why don't we just call it goalie? That's maybe never been more prevalent in a tournament such as this, where you have, one loss and you could be out of this thing. If there was ever a situation where you could get goalied, I think it's against the U.S. Any one of those guys should be able to take the torch and run with it. Any one of those three, they almost have the three best goalies in the tournament, which is asinine to think about. And the only reason that is because there's a country named Russia that didn't get to play, and they might have the three best goalies in the world. So I'm going to maybe go to this, maybe we'll do a quick reset here. So here we are, Oilers Live, special post-game edition on Edmonton Sports Talk. We got Michael, Oilers Live. We got Patrick, the Oilers Fanatic. Ryan at Lotsberg. Welcome to this heavy hockey edition of it. Call me crazy, but if politics weren't what they were and Russia was in this tournament, we'd be talking about a different favorite for this tournament. And I think that team would be Russia. Patrick? Did we lose Patrick?
Yeah, he's thinking hard on this.
He's frozen and thinking.
He is thinking like this is the hardest he's ever put into.
Wow. Or he thinks we're being spied on and he does not want to say a word about the Russians. That said, right, I know Lotsie loves calling me crazy. I do believe this would be the Russians tournament if they were allowed to play in it. Lotsie, call me crazy.
I will call you crazy, mostly because I like doing it. But I think the States are just so deep, and like they actually have top end talent now, right? You've got your Eichels, your Jack Hughes, your Austin Matthews. Like you've got a lot of high end talent in the States now. Like they've got it all over the ice. Russia, I feel, would be like very similar built to Canada, like lots of high end, top end players, but it'd be pretty top heavy for the roster. But I'd probably give the edge to Russia over Canada right now, honestly. I think Canada would be kind of in that bronze medal fourth place conversation in this tournament if Russia was in there.
Patrick, you had a lot of time to think about that, and given the face you were frozen with, you were thinking real damn hard about it. But call me crazy, but I think the Russians would be the favorite if they were in this thing.
Yeah, right up there. I mean, if not considered one of the favorites with Canada and the USA, but yeah, like you were saying, that with their goaltending and they've got more than enough superstars up front to put the puck in the net, they would definitely be up there and number one, number two.
It's solid on the defense too. I think they probably would have had, as far as best player available, really well suited to a tournament like this, because you take the best three goalies in the world. By the time you get to their number 5 and 6, they're those Zadorov types that you kind of need there. And when you get to their fourth line, they're they got some down and dirty Podkolzins and whatnot that are more than happy to play a fourth line role. So that's what if I was a fan of Team USA, it would worry me that given a younger team like that without a lot of experience getting pulled through the trenches, there's nobody really in that lineup that's accustomed to having to play a different role, right? Like they've all been the top line center. They've all been top 6 forwards. criticize Canada, if you will, for their selection, and maybe we all will as this tournament goes on. But we chose players that fit into roles. I believe the Russians would have by accident. The U.S. didn't do that, as Michael said. They took the best player available. I also think that could hurt them, couldn't it, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll hurt them, but I mean, yeah, I say that, and I'll talk out the side of my mouth. I mean, it's really the top two lines that are going to win a tournament for you anyway, from a goal scoring perspective. Whoever's playing bottom six is there. You just don't want them to get scored on, really, which they did tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, I mean, like, you're going to get your top lines. There's only so many minutes on the ice, right? Like, you and you got to give your top two lines most of those minutes. So those are the guys you count on. And I'd put I guess the original conversation was about Russia. I'd put the Canadian top two lines against. Of course, I'd probably put them together differently than Cooper did, but the top six forwards, as I see them, are the best top six in in the world, and they play on Team Canada. So the only thing, to your original point, is goaltending, and Canada's goaltending isn't as good as the U.S. and certainly wouldn't be as good as Russia. So I mean, tonight though, I mean, like, who cared, right? Like, the first period, when did Sweden get a shot? I mean, if Canada can come out and play every game like that, well, that's great. That's going to be the end result.
Yeah, all due respect to Nikita Kucherov, Kirill Kaprizov, Panarin, Buchnevich, Shishmechkov, Ovechkin, Matev Michkov. Like, they got some high end danger there too. I think they're built with speed as well, and
yeah,
like I said, the Podkolzins or the Nishushkins or whoever that need to fill out a fourth line really well could. Yeah, I think it would have been anybody's tournament, depending on momentum and how things go. Yeah. Like we say, a goalie can steal you a game. Almost every team in the tournament has a goalie with that capability. They're NHL goalies. The Hamburglar did it for Ottawa at one point in time. Jim Carrey won a Vezina trophy, right? Ultimately, anybody can get hot and get lightning in a bottle, and I think any of these guys are capable. Anybody with anything else on that?
I just hope we can get back to a point where Russia is a part of it. I mean, obviously you got to get the political situation worked out, but it makes for so much better hockey when Russia is a part of it. That's really a best on best tournament when Russia is part of it. So,
any thoughts on any more on the US maybe having a lack of experience or having too young of a team there or too small of a team there? I know I have my doubts. I don't know if I can get through this podcast without at least taking one shot at Austin Matthews here. That or Elias Pettersson might be the last two people I would want leading my team into any type of battle, war, championship, or anything. Austin Matthews got his round of booze and real handily. I don't know if this is a call me crazy or not, but like, I don't know if it was because he was a Toronto Maple Leaf or because he was an American. I think Austin Matthews just got booed because he's Austin Matthews. Ryan?
I mean, it was Montreal-Toronto rivalry. I think a lot of that hate played into that booing, and obviously he's the captain of the American team, so he's going to get boos for that. I don't know what the Montreal demographic thinks of Austin Matthews and his playing style and the mustache and all that, but yeah, I think who he plays for has more to do with it than who he is.
Yeah, I mean, his leadership seems more suited to being a 70s porn star than leading a national team to a trophy, but I digress because I do like to poke fun. I don't know. Patrick, what do you think? Like, youth, leadership, is anything lacking there? Are you still full on, that USA can do it all here? I have my doubts. I really do.
I think they can do it all, but they do have a lot to prove still. I mean, Canada's been the team since we've been doing this that have been the better team overall. I mean, it's been a long time since they've been able to do a best on best tournament. So I think USA has the team to a lot to prove. And I've never really seen Austin Matthews as captain material. He's an excellent player, but I don't know if he's really a leader. And I guess we'll see. I mean, he's the captain in Toronto now, and if he can get past them like through a couple rounds or something, maybe that'll change people's opinion or change my opinion. But I right now see him as he's a great goal scorer, but I don't know how much of a player he is beyond that.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. Like, that's exactly it, right? Like, he's the only captain of his caliber that hasn't proven to be a real captain.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and part of that's not his fault. Like, part of that's just injury, right? But Sidney Crosby earned the captaincy, right? Like, there is no, I couldn't see. I think that was probably one decision everybody in Canada agreed on, including Oilers fans, is Sid was going to be captain. But I probably would have picked Eichel or Tkachuk to captain, or Connor. Like, those are three guys that have proven to be leaders on their teams, right? And Matthews, I think, it's more about just how many games he's missed and that. And the fact that his team can't seem to get anywhere when it matters. Those things combined. So Dash 100% right. There's a leadership problem on the U.S. team. I think it matters to players who wears the C for sure. You're expected to go out there and lead the team and be that guy, and I just don't think he's earned it from we can look at, like, if you made Connor McDavid captain tomorrow if Crosby wasn't on the team, nobody would argue that. In fact, nobody would argue if you made McKinnon captain, right? Like, you could have made Marchand captain, right? Like, there's eight or nine leaders on this Canadian team, and there's not that many on the U.S. team. You're 100% right. There's a lot of guys that are great players, but they're not. Maybe it's youth, maybe it's experience in games when it really matters. They've still got a hell of a team. I still think they should be a favorite, but it's something I hadn't really thought about. I think is 100% right on that. They're maybe they'll lack that direction because they don't have the right players to lead the lead.
Well,
the
look
way.
at the
We'll
Toronto
see.
Maple Leafs every year. Like, the Maple Leafs have a great team every year, but
Yep. Anybody else want to stick a pin in the Austin Matthews voodoo doll before I move on?
Like, I'll kind of go against a little bit of what you guys are saying. Like, not on Austin Matthews specifically, but how many cups did Matthew Tkachuk win before he finally won one? It was 0, right? It's like, did his not having won a Stanley Cup preclude him from winning a Stanley Cup ever? No, right? Like, past success doesn't guarantee future success, and not having succeeded in the past doesn't mean that you'll never succeed, right? So we got a couple. There's more Stanley Cups on the Canadian team than on the American team, but I honestly don't think it means a whole heck of a lot. Like, there's a lot of guys in the conference or in the American team that have had deep playoff runs. Like, McAvoy's been to a cup final even though he didn't win. Lots of, like, the Rangers have been on lots of deep playoff runs to conference finals. And so, like, you got Trocheck, you got Kreider who's been there, right? Like, I just don't see it as that big of an issue.
Yep, that's good. All great points. I tell you what, I'm going to go around the horn 2 more times before I give Michael last word to talk about the showdown coming up. My first around the horn is in a minute. My last one will be just final thoughts. So try to start thinking about what you want to say for final thoughts. All right, just looking ahead little bit more. Maybe it's tomorrow's game, or maybe it's the pair of games on Saturday. My question is this: what are you looking forward to the most when it comes to the upcoming games tomorrow or on Saturday? And I'll give you mine just to get us started. For example, really looking forward to seeing how tomorrow night Matthew Tkachuk handles a whole handful of Florida Panthers on the other side of the ice. A couple of forwards that know his weaknesses, know how to get under his skin, a defenseman that's going to be standing in front of him. I think that'll be cool for the U.S. Looking forward to the Sweden game. I don't know why I'm a real evil son of a bitch, but I just can't wait for JT Miller to take 10 strides and see what he wants to finally do to Elias Pettersson when he's got a chance. So that's a matchup I'm looking forward to. Saturday night, Eichel versus Stone. I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see. Marner versus Matthews, another one maybe you want to talk about. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Michael? What are you looking forward to the most in these upcoming games here? Maybe some individual matchups or team matchups.
Yeah, I mean this. Obviously, like I think it's the Canada-US game is the one I look forward to it no matter what. It'll just be fun. I love the some of the storylines you talked about there, Eichel versus Stone. That's going to be fun, and I'm curious what I think like if there's a team that could break Hellebuck, I mean it's this Canadian team, right? And we'll see. I'm excited to see how like Crosby and McKinnon come out in a game like that, and excited to see what changes Cooper makes in the lineup, right? And see where that goes. Or was it clear to him that Marner and McDavid didn't have chemistry? We're about to find out, right? Like all of those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that game, that's the only game that really at the start of it, that's the one game I wanted to watch. I think Finland's the weakest team, maybe, and then Sweden, and then Canada and US. It's hard to say.
Another quick one for all of you guys. You can try to think your answers to. I think we'll see a change in goal for Canada next game, Michael.
No, I think Bennington, once he settled in, looked good.
All right. Okay, well, same question, or two questions, I guess, if you want to include the Canada goaltending one. Lotsy, what are you looking forward to coming up in the tournament? Maybe some individual matchups, team matchups, something you'll have your eye on, and who do you think starting a net for Canada next game?
I like the response from Big Uke there. Canada, USA. That's really what it boils down to for me. Like I think they're the top two teams in this tournament, and we got the natural rivalry built in. And I don't know if Saturday's in Montreal or in Boston. Either way, it's going to be a fun atmosphere. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play again in the gold medal game or in the final, whatever you want to call it. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. I kind of think he'll get the start against Sweden or against Finland when we play them, and then Bennington probably gets the States.
Yeah, that's the way I probably saw it going out too. You never know if Hill comes out and absolutely has a banger, then it might be a no-brainer to stick with him. I think it's a wait and see all the same. Another cool matchup might be watching Matthew Tkachuk go up against Sam Reinhart and Bennett. I think there's something interesting there too. Patrick, what do you think? Both questions to you.
I think they stick with Bennington. I thought he played really well tonight, and I think I heard, although I missed the part where you can't bring in another player, I think they said off the top that John Cooper was going to stick with Bennington unless they gave him a reason to take him out, and I don't think he gave them any reason to take him out. So I think Bennington starts. Obviously, same as you guys, USA Canada game. That's the two big heavyweights. I'm interested to see Finland, Sweden. Who we think Sweden's the better team, but does Sweden really step up and prove that they're significantly better than Finland? Do they wipe the floor with them? Is it a close game? So I think that'll be kind of interesting to see. And I'm with you, Dash. I want to see the JT Miller versus Elias Pettersson matchup there for sure.
Just give us something. Yeah. Give us something to talk about, you know. There's already been a pile of highlights coming out of this game. I think we'll watch that power play goal for decades to come. I believe that save on Taves will probably be something that comes back quite a bit. Again, just digging into the matchups, whether they change goalies, I don't know. Again, you know, he said he wouldn't. Not sure it makes sense to. I don't know if there's anything to it, but there aren't any St. Louis Blues on the American team. So, you know, there's nobody saying there, hey, there's where you got to shoot on Binner. At the same time, you stick Hill in and they've got Eichel and Hannafin and whoever else on that team that might. I don't know if that matters. Just something that crossed my mind. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun couple of games. Final thoughts on for me is just, again, looking forward to the next games. I still don't really care who wins. I'm just really entertained by the hockey, whether Canada bows out to the US and ends up getting third in the tournament. I don't care. I think it's still just been fun to watch. My one thing I'll say in my final thoughts before we go around the horn on final thoughts is I think we should all give Finland a little bit more respect. Like we're just counting them out, and that's a nation with a lot of pride that loves to beat Sweden. You know, and this is one game where anything can happen. So anyways, final thoughts. I'm going to leave Michael to final thoughts and showdown at the end. But maybe Patrick, what do you want to say as we go around the horn for the last time?
Well, I'm more impressed than I thought I would be with this tournament. This is definitely better than an All-Star break. I'll say that for sure. Like I hate the All-Star game. I think that's a complete waste of time. And then nothing puts me to sleep faster than that All-Star game. So I'm going to enjoy this tournament. I'm interested to see more of what Canada can do here. I do hope we see some different line combinations, at least a few shifts, put McDavid and Crosby together, because that's what Canadian fans really want to see. I think obviously Nathan McKinnon there too, but McDavid and Crosby are considered, I think, the two top, and to see those guys together would be really special. So I hope Canada can put on a strong effort and win this thing, because it'd be really nice, obviously, whenever Canada wins. But yeah, I think it's going to be entertaining and looking forward to it. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
I got the TV on above me, and Jordan Binnington is in his post-game press conference. And by all accounts, I have not seen him throw a water bottle yet. So things are looking good. Lotsy, final thoughts as we go around the horn and head into Michael. And hey, actually, you know what, Patrick, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
You can find me on YouTube at the Oilers Fanatic, and Twitter and Blue Sky at Oilers Fanatic YT. Got Oilers rundowns, game rundowns for you. Obviously, nothing going on right now on the 2-week break, but we'll come back strong, and 7 games to go here before the upcoming trade deadline. So it should be an interesting time for Oilers news, and we'll see what happens with Evander Kane, stuff like that. So yeah, stay tuned.
I second that. And Patrick, you're our biggest trade deadline acquisition that Heavy Hockey has ever had in the history of Heavy Hockey. You've been an incredibly valuable member. Been super cool to get to know you more, and fantastic being able to talk hockey with you every week now.
Appreciate it.
You too, man. Lotsy, final words as we go around the horn. P.S. You're crazy.
Right back at you, Dash. So I'm just happy that we're getting to see some best on best hockey again. It's been way too long since we've got to see this happen, and the atmosphere tonight was incredible. So I'm just happy for hockey in general. I'll take 2 seconds to talk about the showdown and what I'm doing for my personal fundraising. So as a group, I know we've hit a milestone here, which is fantastic. Yeah, I'm up to 325, but I'm also trying to beat my total from last year, which was 1100. So I've got a little bit of work to go there. If you haven't been following me on Twitter at LotsRyan, then you may have missed out on my weekly updates, where I've been kind of giving some info about SACE and working towards some fitness goals as well, trying to earn those donations. Put out another post during the game tonight with some information about how SACE helps people deal with the police and court systems. So they do a lot of help for victims seeking justice there, which I think is really important. So check out the video on my Twitter page at LotsRyan and donate if you feel compelled to help us out. And from there, I'll give it over to Michael.
Yeah, let me pop in just for a second as well before I give him the final off. Yeah, great points, Ryan. Thanks for bringing that up on the showdown. Definitely find Ryan on his socials and give him a donation, help him out. It goes to a good cause. The milestone he spoke of, we did reach yesterday, is our first $10,000 in donations. So round of golf claps or whatever we need, round of clicks. Ultimately, really proud of that so far. It's been, fun to get back into it, roll our sleeves up. We still got a long ways to go. I know we got a couple things, in the works, especially with EST on the air in the next little bit. Yeah, over to you, Michael. What do you want to say to get us going off to the races? And the final word is yours on your show.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Lotsy, I mean, you're doing a great job. Love the videos and the fundraising. Lots of people doing a great job. Andy Hatch, Dash had an amazing couple days. Get us over the top, 10 grand, new milestone. So we're gonna keep going. I mean, this is what we do. We've got lofty goals, and it can only get bigger and better. We are the premier sponsorship apparatus for SACE, and it's an important game for them. They've told us that they continue to come out and support us, and they're going to be a bigger presence at the game this year. So we hope that you come out and do that. I just found out about this fun spiel at the Shamrock that EST is doing. That looks like a lot of fun. So a couple of the guys obviously going there. Some nasties that are thank you for tuning in. I mean, we're big fans of Edmonton Sports Talk. We get the privilege of being on Edmonton Sports Talk every Wednesday night when there's not an Oilers game, so I love that. Yeah, just if you can, I mean, go on to you can go to heavyhockey.com. There's a link to the Heavy Hockey fundraising page. If there isn't, I'm going to change it and put it on there right now. But there will be a link to the Heavy Hockey fundraising page, and put in like $5, $10, 10,000, whatever you got. Throw that in there, and help us reach our goal. Pick your favorite player, me, and donate towards that cause. Hopefully we get to see you out too. If you're not playing in the game, get out and cheer us on March 15th. We're just going to have a ton of fun. Like, it's going to be the day before. Dash and I will be on the hangout with Matt and that team. Edmonton Sports Talk will be out. I think like the whole Gazzola family is coming out. Yeah, they've got some ringers. I mean, I've been looking at the Edmonton Sports Talk team. It's going to be a hard one to win this year, but we're going to do it anyway because I'm bringing my A game. So we're looking forward to it. Yeah, make sure you donate, and we're just going to keep talking about it because it's important. SACE is important, and this whole thing's important. I really, that's all I got tonight. We're looking forward to coming back here next week and talking some more Four Nations hockey. Getting through this, and then I do have one thing to say about this because Patrick, you were talking about the All-Star game versus Four Nations hockey. I do love this. Like, it was fun to watch tonight, but I just hate the condensed schedule. Like, even I need a break from hockey once in a while, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's too many Oilers games on, and Dash is private chatting me right now, suggesting maybe we do another post game on Saturday. Not a bad idea. So if the greater team is up for it, we'll get back on here and do a post US Canada game. That'd actually be a ton of fun. Let's make that happen. I've got the controls, so I don't need to say goodnight, but I'll say it anyway. Everybody have a great night. So we'll see you next week.